It's June 3rd, 2021. This is Roqe. He is a young Iranian-Canadian comedian who's become a viral sensation with his hilarious videos playing different ethnic characters and employing funny accents. Neema Nazeri is at his best when doing a Persian guy and calling folks estupid. He's a Toronto kid who found his outlet in being funny and has overcome personal obstacles along the way. He's built a massive base in social media for his commentary, zany clips, and dances with his Persian mom. Neema Nazeri is now ready to take things to a new level of global attention, and he joins us in the Roqe studio, plus a new edition of It's All Persian to Us. This is conversations from, to, and about the Iranian diaspora. I'm Jian Ghomeshi. This is Roqe. Hi there, welcome to episode number 115 of Roqe. 115 کیان؟
واقعا نمیدونستم.
15
115
Yes.
What? It's not 15?
15 is a street language.
I've been speaking
Yo, I
street
speak
language.
street. All right?
I speak
Yo, 15. What, really? It's 15?
No, I mean it's no.
First of all,
in
let me just we haven't even started. You know how many letters I've gotten about our last show where they were like, Shia is trying to teach you an ancient Arabic word.
No.
When that's why I didn't know the word. It wasn't like some.
Come on, you know Hamas Qaronot. Now
I do.
No, I mean yes, 15 is for conversation, but 15 is the word.
For what? For this is not a conversation.
For official.
Yes.
Right,
you
official
wanna profess
proclamations
your
like
love.
Roqe. Okay. All right then. Hi there. Welcome to episode 115 of Roqe. 115.
Sounds better, actually.
It sounds a bit obnoxious. It's it sounds like I'm. It's like I've got my teacup with one pinky up. You know.
You have a pipe in the other hand.
Yes. I'm sure that's the correct way to say it, Shia. You are the master. Listen, hope you're keeping well, everybody. Wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Salam Dustanazis or Dostanazis? Now I'm scared. Omidvaram or Umidvaram? Hastam ke khub va khab va mizan hastin. It's exhausting. You think you've learned the language?
No, we've learned nothing.
And then Shia, Sada Ponzda.
I'm not sure. I've heard that when you change A to U, I've heard that is a Tehrani accent, actually.
No.
Yeah,
I've really only ever heard Punzda. Maybe I grew up in a family. I didn't even grow up in a Tehrani family necessarily, although my family's
to
from
be honest
Tehran.
with you, I've never used Panzda.
Oh. See?
But he thought to correct you.
Yeah, but he corrects me. Have you used that encyclopedia
That's my
word
job.
ever? Or just Danishnameh? سلام دوستان عزیز، امیدوار هستم که خوب و میزون هستین باشین. Neema Nazeri coming up in the Roqe studio in just a few minutes. Very funny man. He's got a great story of a young Iranian guy who grew up in the diaspora, a Toronto lad like me and like you. You're
Lad,
Toronto lass. I really found his voice doing comedy, much of it about being Iranian. If you don't know him out there, I suspect you will really enjoy this introduction to him, and you'll become a fan. He's just and I think he's a great guy. I'm looking forward to this in the Roqe studio. We are coming to you on roqemedia.com. That's our website, roqemedia.com, where you can link to all of our platforms. We're on an ongoing mission to build a new audiovisual encyclopedia of Iranian diaspora identity. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, and CastBox. If you like to see some visuals with Roqe, switch over to YouTube right now. And if you like your Roqe descriptions and bulletins in Persian as well as English, you can check out our Telegram channel. By the way, we're going to shoot this interview. Yes, Captain Reza?
That's right.
With Neema in the studio here, and we'll have the full video of it up in a couple of days on your Insta and YouTube channels. So look forward to that. Hello, officially, Fabulous Kian.
Hi, Jian.
Jian is actually my name. It's not Jiun. So that joke landed flat, but I got you. Hello, Groovy Shaya.
Hi, Azza.
And hello, Captain Reza.
Hello, sir.
Listen, first things first. We announced it in social media yesterday, but we have hit 1 million streams of our show across our platforms. We actually reached this milestone a couple of weeks ago, but we wanted to take the opportunity for a group picture, and that took some while to organize and vaccines to happen. A big thank you to all of you out there who have supported this independent program. We have no marketing budget. We don't have some big network supporting us. This is an indie show, and those of you who've believed in us this far, it means so much to us. We have a long way to go, but getting to 1 million streams of a long-form interview program focused on the Iranian diaspora in English. I mean, there's so many things that, I mean, there's only one word for it, which is Khamas.
Precisely.
When we launched this show, April 16th, 2020, Captain Reza, you were there.
That's right.
Ruby Shai, you were there.
Right.
Kian, I don't think you were
joined
with
in
us.
June,
You joined us
May,
after
May.
4 episodes or
It was
5
May,
episodes.
I think, yeah.
And
That's
it's
right.
only been up since then, all right?
I'm the reason we hit
You
1
are.
million.
It's a team effort.
Kidding.
But, you know, there were a lot of folks who were skeptical.
That's right.
About, I mean, there's still folks who were skeptical about all kinds of things, but there were folks who were just going, is this concept really going to work? Yeah, we know you've done interviews for a lot of years, Gian. You know, you got this team of like cool people who can do it. But I mean, English, and you're going to focus on Iranian stuff, and you're going to do long form content. You're going to bring people on that no one's heard of, and so and it kind of grew in the beginning, but it wasn't growing the way it has now. I remember we went for burgers or something.
Yeah,
do you remember that? That was like late June or early July, so it was about I guess 3 or 4 months in, and that was to celebrate 50,000 streams. Right?
Yeah.
After the first 3 months, we hit 50,000, and now in just over a year, we got to 1 million. So it's just grown exponentially. Our joke was that we didn't have a website. Remember, I would start every show going, we don't have a website yet. Like we launched a show with no website. We launched a web-based show with no website. But, you know, and there's a good website that we're proud of now. And so, listen, long way to go. This is an independent program that we sort of figure it out as we go, how this is going to continue to survive and grow the way it is. And so patrons mean a lot to us. You guys who have become patrons, if you go to roqemedia.com and press the support us button, it makes a big difference. But it's a moment to go, hey, way to go, you guys. It's really nice to hear from a lot of you folks out there who've written to us saying congratulations, and we love the team, and we're, you know, behind you guys and all of that.
Keeps us going, for sure.
Very heartwarming.
Very heartwarming.
And we are still at the beginning.
We are very much at the beginning. We're only a year old. We're toddlers still at this Roqe. In fact, I had an Iranian guy, not even a non-Iranian, an Iranian guy say to me a few days ago, so Roqe, like where'd you get that? You know, what's, and I'm like, Roqe dige, Roqe khodam, and he was like, no, I don't know what, I don't know. He's a guy who grew up here.
Of course.
But I thought it was funny. It's like, I just assume by now, everybody who's, I mean, this guy that listened to the show, everybody who's in and around the show knows where the word Roqe comes from. You know, it's street language. As we all know, I'm very good at street language. Sado Ponsta. But yeah, so Roqe basically means candid or blunt or straight to the point in Persian, and that's where we got the name. And kind of it is a word that people can say in English as well, rock, whatever. But that's where it comes from, in case anybody out there needs any clarification after a year of being us. Captain Reza, I'm looking at you and I can't help but think, are you okay? This has been a tumultuous 24 hours for you, because unlike most of the rest of the country, you somehow, being a 33-year-old man, were able to get a second dose of the fine Pfizer vaccine, but you're feeling the side effects, I guess.
Yeah, I was feeling the side effects. I'm actually a little hot right now too. I mean, the studio is freezing.
You certainly are.
But I gotta, for people who don't know, the studio is freezing right now, and I'm the only one who's sitting here without a jacket on, and I'm actually hot for some odd reason. But yeah, I took the second dose of vaccine on Tuesday, and I was fine for 24 hours. But last night, almost as if the switch went off. Like,
Reza called me last night. Sorry to cut you off there, but he was like, "Hey, bro." I was like,
"Oh no, how's he gonna do this?"
This is
beer.
Yeah, I mean, it was the lowest I'd heard his voice. Normally it's like, "Hey," it was like, "Bro, I can't. I'm."
Here, listen to this.
Hey dude, sorry to leave you a message right now, but I think the second dose of COVID has got me, man.
I like he's feeling, it's like he just took a gunshot in the middle of it.
It sounds like he's faking it,
He sounds like William Shatner acting. It sounds like a Kirk, it's like, I must get.
Wow, that was bad, man.
So what happened? You suddenly got a fever, and you were
suddenly, like, it was so sudden to the point that I thought like maybe I was poisoned. Like, that's truly what I thought. I was working on the computer, and all of a sudden it hit me, almost as if like somebody turned on a switch. I started shivering like crazy, fever. My body started to ache. I'm like, what the heck is happening?
Now let me ask you something too. This is what I felt the side effects of whatever I got, whatever that was, the AstraZeneca. I mean, surely you've read by this point, you've been told that the Pfizer, especially the second dose, it does induce side effects. Yeah. But even so, when it's happening, you're kind of going, what's happening to me, right?
It's
you're thinking,
fearful.
maybe it's not the vaccine, maybe it's something else.
You keep thinking, I've kept thinking, is the vaccine, did it give me COVID? Like, is it COVID that I got? Is it going to last? It was terrible. I couldn't sleep until 6 a.m., like out of pain. And then at 6 a.m., again, just like as if they turned off the switch, it went away like nothing ever happened before. I'm just super exhausted and tired today. But other than that, no, I feel good, and I highly recommend everybody get vaccinated, so this pandemic we can get it over with and done.
Yeah, sounds like a wonderful experience.
And also, how did you get the second shot? You're a young guy. People are.
I got a guy. Don't get me started.
Are you sure this was a legal vaccination?
I'm worried about my mother. She's been making phone calls trying to get. I mean, Reza.
Well, man, this guy. Man.
Hey, guess what? Next week I'm going for my second vaccine. It's like, what? How does this happen with this guy?
Oh man!
Have you even got? Well, I don't even want to ask you, Shia.
First,
you got it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was worried that you.
Last weekend. Yeah.
What did you get? Pfizer? You got Pfizer. Everybody's getting the good stuff.
Listen, I'm not going to get on the AstraZeneca. Did you guys see the news a few days ago? My sister sent me the text message laughing at me. It's a matter of life and death. She's like, they announced, for those of you not listening who are not in Canada, I mean, it's been to put it as eloquently as I can, a shit show when it comes to the AstraZeneca, because they gave us the vaccine, some of us, the Gen Xers, they were like, it's available for 40 up, for people who are older than 40. And then we ran and got the vaccine. And then the next day they canceled it and said, this is dangerous. Be careful. Stay away from anybody who's gotten this. They didn't say that, but so they go. Here's a couple of things that in the last week. Well, first of all, the thing my sister sent me, there was some stockpile of the AstraZeneca that was expired or expiring, and they said, but you know what? If you got the first dose, you can use this expired like it was like a new level of indignity, of humiliation. You can use the expired. But then the other thing I loved was they announced that people who've gotten the AstraZeneca, did you see this a couple of days ago, can now potentially get a second dose can cross vaccines, can get the Pfizer or Moderna if it's available. If you read that, like, so I'm like, oh, okay, I read the article. It goes, if you have AstraZeneca, the scientists have now confirmed, Canadian medical whatever has confirmed, you can use for your second dose, Pfizer and Moderna. We do not recommend those who got the Pfizer or Moderna, however, get the AstraZeneca as their second. It's like, it couldn't be clearer, every turn. It's like the experts do not, however, recommend anybody going near the AstraZeneca that a bunch of you have got in your body. Yeah.
So what are you going to do now?
No, I think I'm going to stick with my Astra,
Really?
I stick with my team. I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm a Leafs fan. Look, we have a history of losing. I'll stick with AstraZeneca.
Wait, the expired batch? That's what
I
you're
don't
going to go
know if it'll
with?
be expired. I don't know.
Guys,
what it'll
let's
be.
pray for Jian. Everybody, moment of silence.
Hashtag pray for Astra. So Neema Nazeri coming up in just a second. Well, poor guy. Let's get him in the studio. We've got It's All Persian to Us.
Yeah.
A new edition of It's All Persian to Us coming up right after Neema. What have you want to tease us, tantalize us? What have you got?
All I can say is that this is the greatest contribution to humanity, really.
Oh, this is an Iranian
what
invention.
I'm going to announce. If you Captain Reza, you're not necessarily proud to be Persian, but this is one reason why you can. You're kind of on the.
He's
edge
always
of,
on the fence about that.
Yeah, exactly. But this is one reason to be proud. I'd say.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. And do you know what number episode this is, Kian?
115.
That's right. 115. Don't let me hear you saying Poonsda. The fabulous Kian Groovy Shaya and the fabulous Captain Reza joining us right after we get to our featured guest. Let's get to him, and he's coming in the studio right now. A Toronto-based Iranian-Canadian comedian and actor who is a wonder at cultural and observational humor, doing characters, impressions, accents, stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, podcasts, vlogs, and more. And one of his characters likes to sing popular songs with a little Persian guy commentary on the side. Take a listen to this.
Listen, idiot, come on. But she caught me on the counter. I was eating. Saw me banging on the sofa. You are lying. I even had her in the shower. Very dirty. She even caught me on camera. You are peeping Tom. Saw the mark on my shoulder. It hurt a lot. Heard the word that I told her. Idiot. Heard the scream get louder. خفه شو. She stayed until it was over. Go home. Asal came in and she caught me red-handed, creeping with the girl next door. Sexy Mexi. Picture this, we were both butt naked, banging on the bathroom floor, lots of hair. I had tried to keep her from what she was about to see. Not my problem. Why would she believe me when I told her it wasn't me? I just want to say I'm sorry for the thing that I've done. Lie, 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 ha. Oh my God, you are stupid and I don't care. You
Still funny after I must have watched it hundreds of times. And the distortion, it's distorting. That is the Iranian Canadian comedian Neema Nazeri as his character Babak Markarian in just one of the clips that has gone viral in social media over the last couple of years. So Neema was born and raised in Toronto. He started doing funny accents at the age of 8 by mimicking his mother, making an order at the Tim Hortons donut shop drive-thru. Neema grew up with a diverse group of friends, and his comedy does focus on poking sweet fun at various cultures and communities and doing a variety of different accents: Persian, Italian, Chinese, British, Indian, Nigerian, and more. Neema produces daily and weekly content on several social media platforms, in addition to co-hosting a weekly podcast with his brother, a monthly comedy show, and acting in commercials, TV series, and films. Daily Estupid is the name of one of his segments, where he dances to music suggested by his followers. He has toured as a comedian and acted in some prominent films and TV programs, but it is on social media that he is currently a rising viral star. His TikTok account alone has gotten millions of likes. And right now, Neema Nazeri joins me live in the Roqe studio. Hello, sir.
Hello. How's it going?
Nice to have you here with your kola cap.
That's it.
Backwards.
Of course.
Very hip hop.
Very white boy. Yeah.
White boy. That Babak Markarian.
Markarian.
Markarian خودمون.
Yeah, come on.
That has got to be a favorite of mine. I love that you were laughing listening back to it.
Yeah, it's too. I don't know. The videos I do it because it makes me laugh. So naturally, when I hear it back, because I actually haven't heard that in a while too, so I forgot what I said in the ad libs. It's the funny part. And it gets me, man.
That was my introduction to you, to be honest. That somebody passed that video to me from a year ago.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, who is this guy? Is that really the way he talks? Yeah. He's amazing. Because there was that Persian couple that put out some song where I think I love, and you couldn't tell if they were actually real or not.
Right.
And so where did this character emerge from? This Bobak?
Honestly, it was actually, fun fact, the very first character I ever did, I guess, implemented into my comedy. And it was one day I was filming a Persian fob drive-through prank video on YouTube 6 years ago. It was one of the first videos I posted on my YouTube channel. And I was out in the front before I was filming with one of my friends. And I was like, yo, I don't have a name for my Persian character. Because obviously it's the easiest accent for me to do at the very beginning. It's just mimicking my mom's accent. And I was like, okay, what's a really fobby, really thick Persian name? And I was like, okay, Bobak, whatever. It sounds pretty Persian. And I was like, I need a last name as well. And I'm like, what would be a Persian sounding immigrant last name? I don't know. It just kind of came to me. I was like, Markaryan. It just rolls off the tongue.
Armenian.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was Armenian at the time. So, but it's just like a running joke now for the past 6 years. Every time I post Bobak, Markaryan, all the Armenians are like, no, you're Armenian. I'm like, no.
And you have a facility for, you don't talk with this accent, but
no.
You've just been around enough people who speak this way with the heavy it's a bit of a stereotype, but then you'll actually run into someone who talks like that. This is my thing. And
of course. I didn't really grow up with a lot of Persian people, to be honest. It was just my family, my immediate family, and then their friends and their kids. So a very tight circle. So, but for me, I naturally just picked up on accents and mannerisms in people's voice and accent from a very young age, and I just started doing them. And
what about this idea of singing along to a song and then doing these Persian asides? Where did that come from?
The ad libs? I don't know. I just thought because I've always low key liked singing a lot too, but I'm not great. I'm not shit. I think I'm decent. I'm mediocre.
Right.
But I was like, how can I do it in a way where it's tasteful and it's kind of like a cheat code where I can just disguise my okay singing with a funny accent. And the two worlds collided for me one day, and I was like, oh, a Persian guy singing English songs would be hilarious.
Right.
And that's where I discovered, and that's where I started doing it, and it's like a crowd favorite now.
What I love about you is that you are a true diaspora kid. Born in Scarborough, not too far from where we are right now, in fact. Reared in Markham, which has, of course, now become an Iranian diasporic mecca.
Yeah,
it wasn't when I was a kid, but it is now. But it's amazing to me how Iranian you are. As someone who, I don't even, have you even been to Iran?
No.
So
when I was 2, I think, but I don't remember.
Okay, so you're a complete diaspora kid. Did you grow up speaking Persian in the home?
Yeah, a little bit. I actually was put into Farsi school. I don't know what it's called, Persian school.
I guess it's
for a year, but I hated it. I was like, I don't know. I didn't like school in general, anyway. So I was like, I don't even know English. You're gonna make me learn Farsi? I don't know what am I gonna do? And so, but naturally at home, I always spoke in Farsi to my mom and my dad. But as I grew older, I was more English than Farsi, and now it's just Finglish. It's half Farsi, half English.
So the story goes that you were always a funny kid in the house, and then you they start asking you to perform at Mahmouni's. Tell me how this evolved.
So one of the very first instances from when I was a child, I remember, like you mentioned earlier when you were doing my intro, how I mimicked a story of my mom going through a Tim Hortons drive-thru and ordering food for both of us. And that was the first day I realized, oh, my mom doesn't know how to order properly at a drive-thru. I really heard it for the first time. I didn't really understand it at the time, but I was like, it was something that it just clicked for me. I was like, oh, my mom has trouble ordering a simple thing like a Timbit or a donut from this like establishment, right? And so
What like? Can you give me an example?
yeah,
of
so
what-
she drives in and she's like, "Hi, team. This is Tim Hortons."
she called the establishment Tim.
I think
yes.
so. Yeah. She's like, "Hello, hi."
She totally didn't do that,
No,
by
she
the
didn't.
way.
No,
That's your- yeah,
I'm
yeah.
exaggerating,
Yeah.
but yeah, she'd be like, "Hi. So just can I she's like scanning the whole menu now, like for half an hour. I'm like, just pick something. It's,
Mom,
bagels or donuts.
Yeah, there's only two options.
Yeah. She's like, okay, so for the can I have one bagel, one cream cheese? Do you have the sesame seed bagel? Okay, and then I don't know. She's like, oh, okay, and so she orders her thing, and then she like, I'm in the back seat, and so she's yelling at me while this intercom is right in our ear. So this person on the other end's like hearing this immigrant.
Why is she yelling at you?
Because well, this is how she speaks. Like right, like all Persian parents, like Neema chi mikhai? Zud bash dige. Like chi mikhai? I'm like 8. I'm like I don't know. Give me chocolate. I don't know. Give me anything. Whatever you want, I'll eat it. I'm a big kid. And I was like, okay, give me a whatever, like a everything bagel with cream cheese and a large chocolate milk.
Okay.
Right?
You remember the order.
I do. I'm a fat kid at heart, okay? And still fat, but so I know. But no, so I said this to her and she goes, hi, okay, and also can I have chikofti? She's like, just forgets as soon as she goes. One everything bagel with cream cheese and one milk chocolate large. I'm like, milk chocolate, it's chocolate milk, right? And then she's like, and this whole time, and then she's trying to ask for a straw. But she goes, and also, can I have one strawberry? I'm like, bro, like, you're asking for fruits now? And then she's like, no, I'm not. And then, so the person's like, oh, I'm sorry, man, we don't have strawberries here. I'm like, oh, well, obviously, it's a coffee shop.
She thought the word for straw is a strawberry.
Yeah, a strawberry.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
But like, I think she knew. She just like mixed it up at the time.
Right.
The whole point is, though, I fully grasped what was happening, and I understood what was happening.
Young Neema saw a future, so the entire comedy future from that.
Yeah.
The light bulb went off.
Yeah. So then when I saw that happen, the whole thing ended, whatever. That same week, or I don't remember exactly the timeline, but I remember just like, I don't know, I started to just mimic her accent when I was at home now in front of my dad, and he would laugh. He would be like, that's hilarious, whatever. So I was like, oh, this is cool, he's laughing. So then the next time there was a mehmoni, a family
Does your dad
gathering.
also have an accent?
A little bit, not really. No, he's more Canadianized. He's more, a part of society.
Right.
Yeah. No,
so he helpfully also makes fun of your mom.
I mean, a little bit, yeah. But I still make fun of him too, but yeah, equal, yeah. So when there was a family gathering, all their friends came. They're all from Iran. Like, they all have accents. And they're very fun people. Persian people are very, like, naturally funny and goofy, loving people, right?
Yes.
When the mehmoni happened,
despite our reputation for terrorism and
sure,
yes,
I don't know anything about that. I'm Canadian, all right?
Right.
And so when these family parties happened, usually it starts off with like everyone's greeting each other for 3 hours, and then you walk inside, you talk shit and gossip about whatever for another 3 hours, and dinner happens, whatever, and then after dinner is the dessert / dance time, right?
Yeah.
The gher. That's when the shoulders start moving.
That's right.
Right? And so when that starts to happen and they get tired of the singing and dancing, they're like, okay, Neema, like go up there and tell us some jokes, right? Like I'm a fucking clown, right? And then so I go up there naturally as a 7-year-old.
Go up where? Is there a stage?
No,
what do we go up there?
No, it's on the table with all the gas. You know what I mean? Like and all the fucking khorma. You know what I mean? So I go up to this imaginary stage. I'm like 7-8 years old. I don't know, like what's the funniest thing I could tell?
Right.
I don't know actual jokes at the time. So I'm like, oh, I remember this example.
But you were confident enough that you can do this. I mean, you clearly.
I don't know.
Well, your mom wouldn't have thrown you up there without you. Clearly, you've established yourself as a funny kid.
Yeah, well, actually, it wasn't my mom. It's never my mom because she's always embarrassed. She's like, no, Neema, like, like you're trying to make fun of me.
So who sent you onto the stage?
Well, yeah, Jamshid and Hassan. No, but so it was usually my dad because my dad like starts talking about it, and like my mom actually my mom entertained it too. She's like, oh, like Peder Sag, like Neema, like he's making fun of my accent. I'm ordering, and then so everyone's like naturally curious. Oh, what was it? Tell us a joke. So my dad's like, what, like, tell everyone. So I go up, and then, like, I don't know. I just, like, I don't know what confidence was at that age. I just thought, oh, this is something I have to do, right? I don't know.
Right, I'm mandated to do this.
Sure, like, or else I'm getting
part
kicked
of the
out
contract.
of the house. Yeah, exactly, the contract. And so I just go up, and then everyone's silent, and I was like, and for some reason I wasn't really uncomfortable. I was just kind of like, okay, like, literally the story I just told you now, I was doing that at 8 or however age, you know what I mean?
It's just some old material.
So, it's classic material. And so I just kind of do it, and that was the first moment, first taste I got of, like, older adults or just people who are kind of strangers to me laughing out loud.
You know what's amazing about that too, if you think about it, because I would host sometimes when I've been asked to host events and stuff with the Iranian audience, I'll do a little joke off the top. I'll say, like, I am from Scarborough, I'll just do these things, and they all laugh, even though that's the way they actually talk. A lot of them. It's funny that they see it as fun. You know, I mean, it's good, I suppose, that they see it as funny. And back at that point, did your mother think it was funny? I know she's certainly come around now. We'll get to your mom, and who I like to call your superpower. Your greatest asset is your mom in your videos. But even at that time, was she okay with you doing the Tim Hortons routine?
Yeah, well, so at the beginning, she's always very shy and like, no, like don't make fun of me. But then she also enjoys it when she sees everyone's laughing too.
Right.
That's the whole point, right? Like when everyone's laughing, she's like, oh, like she can't help but laugh because she knows it's true.
Right.
And I do it really well. And so I mean, she is a good sport though.
Let me play another short clip of Babak, the Armenian, the unwitting Armenian Markaryan. This is him doing or attempting to do a Backstreet Boys song. Take a listen to this.
Hey, listen, idiot. You are my fire. You're hot. The 1 or 2. Desire, believe. Look at me. When I say, listen, I want it that way. It's not difficult, but we are too worlds apart. You're too far. Can't reach to your heart. Come here. When you say, I don't care. I want it that way. It's not hard. Tell me why he is nothing but a
taste of Iranian Canadian comedian and viral sensation Neema Nazeri doing his character Babak Markaryan. There's so much I like about that. The one thing is his commitment to singing. He's not shy. He's singing, but then he has to do the ad-lib commentary in between. What are the keys to doing a very good Persian fob, fresh off the boat impression?
You just have to really study the intonation of the accent, like the ups and downs, you know what I mean? And like know where the actual lettering comes from. So for example, like I say it's stupid. That's like one of the main things of my on my channel now, my brand. And so where that came from is like I quickly learned from a young age that, you know, Persians can't pronounce S without having an E at the beginning. But only if there's a consonant after the S. If there's a vowel, then there is no E.
Right.
So you wouldn't say sorry, you'd say sorry. Yeah. But if it's like stupid, you'd be stupid, right? Yes. And so just like the mind, it's very I'm very good at picking up on minor details in someone's voice and someone's accent, and so it's just studying it. Honestly, it's just mimicking it.
Well, stupid has become part of your brand, and I've noticed Babak also calls everyone idiot.
Yeah, idiot.
Do you find Persians liberally dole out these insults? It's always idiot, stupid. Like, why is he's calling everybody idiot all the time?
Where I got that from is just kind of like Babak Markaryan is like. He's just that like cool but like kind of like arrogant, ego-filled uncle who just like, and he's single. Like he never has a proper relationship.
He's not in a relationship.
No, he's never in it because he's
calling the women he's perhaps interested in idiots.
Yeah, but there is a little bit of charm to him when he does talk. He's like, oh, hello, you are very sexy, Maxi. And he's like, like he like quickly turns if they reject him. So that's a typical Persian guy though. When they're living in Western society, at least is what I've found and what I've realized. And so it's just like. It's kind of like an exaggeration of that. And so, yeah.
Now, I want to get into some of the reaction you've gotten, some of the negative stuff, the backlash that you get. That, but by the way, I was surprised to hear, because what you do, I feel, is so benign and funny. But have you had to deal with Iranians who take umbrage, like somebody who goes, you know, خجالت نمیکشی اینطوری ایرانی‌ها رو, like you're depicting us in some negative way. This is not, you know, the way we want to be seen.
Yeah, all the time. But like, the thing is, what I've realized about myself is that I know my true intentions. I know my context, and I know I'm doing this out of love and out of just trying to spark some joy into people's lives.
Right.
Because it's something that makes me truly happy and makes me laugh. It's funny to me, and I know it's funny to a lot of other people. And there's no hate behind it. There's no bad intentions. I'm just here to just make people laugh, and that's the whole point of what I'm doing. And so, but naturally, there's no matter who you are, what you do, there's always going to be people who are hating on you for a certain reason.
So
doesn't matter what.
I mean, we can get to those, but in terms of Persians now,
Yeah.
what do they say about these impressions?
Yeah,
You know?
like I'm like, stop making fun of our accent. That's not how we speak. Or like you shouldn't talk about this because like we struggle or this and that, and you know, stuff like that. Which is like, yeah, I get it, but like, I'm not gonna stop because it's just
We've gone through dark times. There's stereotypes about us. You're just perpetuating those stereotypes. What is your answer to that?
Honestly, it's just, once again, it's just something that's funny to me.
Right.
And
you know, I bet, you tell me if this is true, I bet if anyone has a problem with it, it's more likely to be someone in the diaspora, like a Toronto Iranian, than someone in Iran.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
they probably, the ones in Iran probably don't mind. They probably, they're like, it's okay, go, do it. You're funny. We like it, you know.
It's actually it's a mixture of both. It's actually in between. The people who are in Iran, actually, they love it. They're like super fans.
Right.
Which I fully appreciate.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah. And then there's the Canadianized, like me, Persians, who love it as well. But then it's the ones in the between who they're from Iran, but they came to Canada 20 years ago.
Right.
So they're like in the middle.
Right.
Because they're trying to switch over. Like, no, I'm not Persian. I'm Canadian.
Yes.
Like, no, you're from Tehran. Okay, and Ehsan. Okay, like relax. And so. Yeah, it's just and once again, it's all out of love. You know,
I am Eddie, not Ehsan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No. I shopping at the Walmart. Okay.
I always talk about it on the show where you order an Uber and the face comes up and the name is like Mark and you're like, no, you're not Mark.
No, you're Mohammed. That's yeah, exactly.
You had actually gone to, I mean, despite the encouragement it seems or the enabling of your family, you'd actually gone to the University of Toronto for kinesiology for a while. Did you have a passion for kinesiology? What was that about?
No, I was at a place in my life where I didn't make decisions for myself, and I was influenced by my parents and what they wanted, what society thought was the right path to take in order to be successful. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I have to get good grades in high school in order to get into a good university, to get a degree, to get a job, to get a family, and that's the only way to live life. And I always hated academics growing up. I was very like nonchalant about it. If I did well, great. If I didn't, who cares? I was very much more.
That doesn't go over well with a lot of Persian parents.
Of course.
Who cares?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What do you mean don't care? Yeah. Sit down and do your homework, right?
Reza is getting A+.
Yeah, exactly. It's always the comparison, right?
Always the comparison.
Always,
probably to your brother and others in your family too.
Oh, I mean, well, that's actually so U of T when I went. The only reason I was like kind of like felt forced or pressured to go into U of T for kinesiology specifically is that I almost lost my breath. I think I have asthma, not you.
You've contracted my asthma.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah. My dad actually went to U of T, and he's an engineer, classic, obviously. Right. You know what I mean? And so there's always that like, oh, he's
a respectable person,
respectable,
not like you and I. Yes.
No. Exactly. He actually is a person in society who matters. And then my brother actually went to U of T kinesiology, the same exact program.
Oh.
And so he's older than me, right? And so naturally I was influenced by people who are older than me, older generations. And I kind of like, oh, okay, well, if my brother went, then like, I feel like I have to go too. I didn't think for myself. And so that's the reason why I even went to that program.
So what was the tipping point where you began to think for yourself?
I didn't get into university right after high school. I didn't have good enough grades, so I had to take a year off, and I was at the worst point in my life because I was very like down on myself. I was kind of depressed. I was like I'm not good enough to get into school. Like, what am I gonna do? I was fat. I was gaining weight. I was eating junk food every day, staying up till 7 a.m. playing games, yelling at my TV, throwing my controllers everywhere.
Okay.
When my dad's yelling, you know what I mean? And so I was at a bad point in my place, and that was the decline of like me just not caring about school. but I also didn't know what I want to do in my life or what I could do.
Okay.
And so I kind of just like picked up like some private classes, got my grades up just to get into university the next year. And so when I finally went, the essence of me going to a good school and learning was taken away when I didn't get in the first year. So I was like, oh, well, whatever. Like, I didn't get in. Like, it kind of deflates you, you know? And so when I finally got in, I was in this program, but I was just kind of cruising by, not actually caring what's going on. My mind was completely somewhere else. It was all on YouTube. It was all on watching videos of funny people every day.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I started. That's where I turned
so,
to.
how long did you last?
1 year. I dropped out after 1 year.
And how did you find the agency in yourself to say, hey, mom and dad, hey, society, whatever it is, you know, I'm taking control here and I'm not doing this anymore?
Well, what happened was there's a couple different things that influenced me to actually think for myself and change my mind here. That whole year of university, U of T, when I finally got it and I did the program, I was heavy binging YouTube videos. I've always watched YouTube from when I was pretty much grade 8. Grade 9, I started like heavily watching YouTube. I loved watching pranks, sketch videos, accents, impressions, stand-up comedy. That's where I discovered Russell Peters, and I fell in love.
We should clarify. You're a young guy. Like, we're only talking about 5 or 6 years ago that you were at U of T, right?
Yeah, it was 2013.
So YouTube was already.
It was already
YouTube.
like, it was big. It was big. Yeah. After like 2007, that's when I started, right? And so I was just like, I don't know. That was the only thing I realized that year at school that was making me happy. Was watching YouTube videos of other people doing funny things. But I didn't think like, oh, I wish I could do that. In my mind, subconsciously, I was like, man, I wish I could do that. But I didn't think I could just do it, right? Until...
You didn't think you could do it because you didn't think you'd be funny, or you didn't think that it could be a career?
A little bit of both. I was unsure of myself in general because I never had that. I was never like good at one thing, really, growing up. And I knew I was funny. I knew I was like okay at sports. I could sing a little bit, but I was very mediocre, right? I didn't think like, oh, I can make a career out of comedy. Like, what am I like? That's because like, you know, to people, traditional immigrant parents who are from Iran, they don't have stand-up comedy. That's not a career. That was, you drilled that as a.
And by the way, even what you do now, which I think you're amazing at. Like, I can't think of somebody off the top of my head who's better at doing the kind of thing you do, like singing that song with the accent and, you know, the way you can embody that. That's actually a pretty new path. I mean, it's not like there's a bunch of people in that blueprint that you're following in the footsteps of. No. There's been Persian comedians, there's stand-up guys, there's Max and Moz, there's all kind of, but what you're doing is pretty fresh. So, yeah, there's no roadmap that goes, this is going to be a success, right?
Yeah, 100%. But the thing is, I got to a point where I was so unhappy with school at U of T, and I was like doing shit again. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't really want to do this. And actually, that same week I was having these thoughts. One of my friends introduced me to a comedy show at Yuck Yucks, downtown Toronto. And that was the day when I went to this first stand-up comedy show I've ever been to. And I go inside, and it was an amateur night. It was a Tuesday night, 7 p.m. I vividly remember this. And it was a Humber College student comedy show. Right. I didn't know what that was at the time. I watched this show, and I saw
Who knew there were comedy courses at a college?
That's what I'm saying. I was like, there's no way. I thought it was just like a name or something, right? The show goes on, and like I've never felt so exhilarated in my life just being in the audience. And there's only 10 people watching, and a bunch of amateurs who are dog shit at doing stand-up comedy. Right. But like I'm watching these people go up on stage, do 2 minutes of shit jokes. But they're even.
Is this the night where you go up last and there's one person left in the audience?
No.
That's another night.
That's a different. I'll tell you about that. But the point was, I saw this happen. I saw these like random like younger kids, like younger than me even, or like around my age group, going up doing 2 minutes of okay jokes, if any. And I was getting so like hyped and exhilarated just watching it. And I was like, wow, I got this feeling. I was like, I've never felt this in my life. And so I asked one of the comics after the show. I was like, yo, what's this Humber comedy thing? And then he told me there's a comedy course at Humber College, 2-year program where you can learn all about comedy. And I'm like, what? So that was the day I went home. I searched the program up, saw all the courses they offered, and immediately it clicked for me. I was like, this is perfect for me. This is my calling. I just feel it. And so that same week, I was debating, how do I tell my parents I want to drop out and do comedy, right? Because in their world, like, what do you mean comedy? Like, get the fuck, shut up, like, go study. You know what I mean? And so, but I knew deep down inside, they supported me a lot throughout my whole life, because just from the experiences I've experienced when I was a kid to growing up, and like how they always really wanted me to do well, and my brother too, and you know, just they raised us, and at least they try to raise us in a way to give us a good life, and so I appreciate that. And so I knew deep down like they would be understanding, at least more than a typical Persian parents. I just had a feeling, right? It was a gut feeling, but I didn't know what a gut feeling was at the time. I just went with my intuition. And that same week, what happened was my brother actually changed paths. This was the trigger. That was the moment that really, it was like a TSN turning point, right? It changed everything.
Right.
He switched his program.
That's a sports channel in Canada.
Yeah, for people who don't know. This was the turning point of my whole life at this point. When my brother changed his path, and I saw him tell my parents that he didn't want to do kinesiology anymore. And the way they reacted was, all right, well, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. And then he did it, whatever. Right. And then they were like, okay. And I was like, oh, well, if he can do it and he's older, of course they're going to let me do what I want.
Wow, the whole family quit kinesiology.
100%. Yeah, we're like, fuck this.
This has been a bad year for kinesiology.
Yeah. Fuck science. I'm going to go into gardening. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather... So that was the moment I realized, okay, I can actually tell my parents and they'll be supportive, at least, right? And I did it. I was like, yo, this is how I feel. I found this program.
Did you start with yo?
Yeah, I always did. I actually do. I literally tell my mom, like, yo, man, like, what are you doing? I swear to God, it's probably in my videos. And that's how modern Canadian I am.
Right. Urban, I think.
Urban, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Yeah. And so, yeah, that was the moment I told them. I dropped out, and they were like, okay, well, if you're going to do this, my dad told me this very vividly. I remember he's like, if you're going to do this, you better do it 100%. And ever since that day, I haven't looked back.
I love that.
100% I've been going into
Somebody else did that. We had another guest on who had a similar story where it was a woman who wanted to change paths, and her Persian parents said, okay, but only if you go into this 100%.
Yeah.
Don't do it half-ass.
Yeah.
So since then, they're supportive. I mean, well, let me get to your mom, but first, what is the story about? Didn't I read somewhere, or there was some story that the first time you did stand up, it was at the end of the night there was like one person in the.
There's many.
I'm assuming it was like one of those comedy store things where everybody gets it's an open mic or something, and there's a list of people, and the crowd slowly dwindles as the night goes on, and you were up last. Is that the case?
There were hundreds of those, but there was one specific one where it was the first time I did stand up, but it was just in front of all comics, all comedians. So it's the worst case scenario.
It's like for me, I was a drummer. I was playing in front of drummers.
I'm a drummer too.
It's hell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just like bottom of the barrel garbage, right? Yeah. And so that was the first set I ever did, September 15th, 2015. And it was just an open mic. It was in a dungeon.
Wow, you remember these dates. These
100%.
Burned into your memory.
Because it's something I care about so much. Right. It's like very easy to attach the two.
It was in a dungeon?
Pretty much. It was like an attic dungeon. Like, okay. Literally, it was in a
is an attic and a dungeon, up and down, both of them. Okay,
both. Yes, sketchy. All of comedy is just sketchy. Okay. I performed in like backyards, in someone's basement. I didn't know there's no door. I performed in front of a dog because everyone else was gone, and the owner was passed out drunk. Right. You know what I mean? Like I've done the bottom of the barrel.
But you wanted to maintain the integrity of the gig, and 100%. So the dog was the.
Yeah, I'm still talking about my dick jokes, and the dog was like, woo, you know what I mean? But that first ever set I ever did was at this like attic-y dungeon. It was just comedians. It was
in Toronto?
Toronto, yeah. It was at this like random bar called the Central. It's gone now. It's like closed down, obviously. You were walking on the floor. It's like I couldn't even walk, and at the time I was like 350 pounds. Like I'm going through. No one, like everyone else is fine. I'm pummeling through this bar.
Right.
So what happened was, I didn't know this, but in a stand-up comedy open mic, what happens is you sign up on this list, and first come first serve. But I didn't know the politics behind stand-up comedy, even if there was any. But what happened was, I got there at 4 p.m. early. The open mic started at 6. You have
this is early.
I was on top of it. I traveled an hour on a streetcar with a crack fare, just trying to get a spot on an open mic. Right. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was like 20 years old, barely. And so I'm going, and I was like, I'm gonna get there early, show up punctual. Right. It's my first day, right?
I'm off to the Central. This is gonna be the big gig.
My parents are gonna be proud. Let's do it. Yeah, kinesiology to a fucking dungeon. Let's do this. So I go up and I sign up. I'm first. Great. I wait around. 6 p.m. comes. Everyone starts filing in. Right. And now I start to get nervous. I'm like, oh, I've never done this before. I have to perform in front of random people I've never seen before. And I'm sitting there, and now the host goes up, and usually if you don't know about stand-up comedy open mics, the host is also a comedian.
Yes.
But they sometimes host their own open mics.
Right.
In different
they
parts
do
of the
a couple of minutes, and then they say, okay,
let's start the show. Let's get the train rolling.
Tommy's
going
to come up. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Shotgun style, yeah. So I'm sitting here, and the host goes up, and he's like, all right, guys, let's start the show. I think I'm first. I'm ready to get up with my massive booklet of jokes it's like an essay.
Oh, you had the jokes written out.
Oh, fully. And I'm going to kill it. I see the host go up and do his thing, but I'm blanking out. I'm like, how am I going to read off this paper?
Right.
No one's going to pay attention.
Right.
I don't know any better.
And the audience is just the other comics who are there for the open mic.
Who also don't give a shit about anyone. Right? They're just trying to do their bit, get to another open mic, right?
It's such an interesting and necessary initiation.
It is. It's
like there's nobody in your business, no comedian cannot do this. This is
there's no
rite of passage. You have to do this stuff. Yeah.
Well, also it's good for your own self to improve your mic technique, your joke writing skills, your delivery, stage presence.
But it's just
all these
so
things
hellish.
It's hell. It's not for everyone. I actually wouldn't recommend anyone go into comedy because of this reason. No, because people told me that. Like, yo, man, like, number one people ask, like, yo, what's your advice if I want to get into comedy? They always say, don't do it. Because it's like, it's not for a faint of heart. Yeah, you have to have the thickest skin go forever. If you're gonna do it, you better go all in. There's no plan B.
As your father said.
As my father.
100%.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Or else you're not eating tonight. Right? So I always had that naturally little like chip on my shoulder from the very beginning. But some people don't have that, and that's why they quit. I've seen people quit. In the past 6 years I've been doing stand-up comedy, I've seen people come and go a lot. But for me, even though I knew I was like not the best, I'm not the best joke writer, not the best stand-up comedian, I still want to push through because I know there's potential to be had, and you're always going to improve if you just keep trying.
Right.
I truly believe in that, and I'm very confident in doing bad because you have to fail in order to succeed, right?
Right.
You have to make mistakes in order to get better.
That, yeah.
I understand. If that's the one thing I actually was taught from a very young age, from my parents, naturally. So I actually have that to thank them for, and also to just be confident in yourself and just put yourself out there if you can.
It's one of the things. It's like being in a band and doing gigs where you don't play your hit songs.
Yeah,
it's one of the things that amazes me about down the Comedy Store in LA. When I've hung out there and had friends someone like Maz Jobrani who knows he's got a killer 15 minutes.
Yeah,
so he's going to slay every time, but instead goes up and does these new jokes that are not funny because I just think, oh, that must be excruciating because you can kill.
Yeah.
But you got to practice. You got to work out the kinks. You got to do what
You never know how it's going to go on any given night.
So what happens at the Central?
Oh man! So the host starts the show, and I'm like ready to go up, and he goes, "All right, your first comic is I don't know, Kevin, like just Kevin." And then I'm like, "Kevin, that's not my name." So then the host comes off, and I ask him like, "Hey, I thought I was first." I was like, me having this fucking ego, like I'm first. Right. I didn't know any better. And he's like, oh, no, buddy, like, what's your name? I'm like, oh, Neema Nazeri. And he's like, oh, no, sorry, man, like, you're not going to go up for a while. And I'm like, what? What do you mean not going for a while? He's like, sorry, man, that you're new, like, no one knows you. Like, I have to give priority to seasoned vets, to, semi-pro comics, pro comics, people I know. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm hearing this for the first time. I'm like, damn, it's really like that. And that was a big reality check for me. That was the first reality check for me doing comedy. And it really humbled me from the very beginning because that whole night went through and I kept not hearing my name.
You were just sitting there.
I was sitting there like a donkey watching these people go up, also doing shit jokes.
Right. Why were you a donkey?
Well, I don't know. Just like, I don't know. I just say that. I don't know. It's just some fun word I think that makes sense in this moment. So I'm watching all these people go up and it's making me more nervous because I'm waiting, knowing I still have to go up.
Sure.
But I'm also seeing all these
and you can't enjoy yourself. You can't have a drink. You can't just relax.
No chance. I'm shitting my pants on the verge, like poking out. I'm trying to think about my dick jokes I'm going to tell to nobody. And so I'm waiting and the night keeps going and every comic who goes up immediately leaves right after their set. Right. So it's like fucking getting a ticket and then you go into the stadium. It's like, where are you going?
Right.
I didn't know people just leave.
So it's slowly dwindling in terms of the
diminishing my confidence.
And presumably they don't all have binders when they go.
Oh yeah, they have their little notebooks. They have like notepads. They check it. Like I see them like, okay, they look and then they say the joke, falls flat, bombs. All right, cool. So I was walking on the street the other day about, you know what I mean? I see them doing their thing and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I'm getting more nervous. And then it gets to usually there's about 30 spots on any given open mic night. I was like, it was at number 27 or 28 and the host goes up, all right guys, we only have like 7 minutes. I don't know if we're gonna get the last few people up. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious? I've been waiting here since 4. It's 9:30. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? And so I begged the guy. I was like, bro, like,
and it's amazing, even though that, I mean, you still knew that it was important to go through the motions to do this, even though there's no audience there at this point.
I had to, because that's drilled in my head. Like, I dropped out for a reason. There's no going back. I don't have a plan B. I have to go through this.
There's a kinesiology degree that's on the cutting room floor at this point.
100%, right? And so I was like, there's no way I'm backing out. No chance. But it sucked. It really sucked. And I was like, I begged the host. I was like, please, man, can you just put me on? Like, it's my first time. Like, I just want to know how it is. I need to learn. He's like, all right, man, let's see. Like, I can probably give you like 3 minutes. I was supposed to do 5. I was like, perfect, whatever. Thank you. So finally, I'm the last person.
Literally the
last person. And the 2 comics who went up before me actually had some decency and stayed. So I was like, fuck. Well, at least there's a couple of me, right? So I go up and I'm like, on the stage once again, it's just like a mic and creaky floors. I'm like telling a joke and it's like as I'm talking, and the other comics aren't even paying attention. They're on their phone, right? Not even chuckling. I'm saying the worst jokes, not even jokes. And I immediately was feeling so humbled. I'm like, wow, I suck. I'm not funny. I'm not as funny as I think I am. But not that I'm not funny. It's just that this is going to take a lot more work. And that was the first day that really like hit me. I was like, okay, well, all right, let's do this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in this. You know what I mean? It actually motivated me. I was like, all right, okay.
Interesting. It didn't crush you.
No, it did for that few minutes. But after, when I was going home, it was exhilarating as fuck because I knew I did something that scared me. And I did it. I failed, but it was the most scariest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Is it still scary to do an open mic, or does it just get
It's
you know that you can do it, and you know you might fall flat.
Oh, for sure. I'm comfortable bombing now. If you don't know what bombing is, it's when you just do a bad set on stage. But the thing is, I always get nervous. I'm always nervous, but that means that's a good thing. That means you actually care. And you actually want to do well. But as soon as I step on foot on the stage, I have the mic in my hand, I say my first joke, I'm like in my zone now, and like it's just I can't even put into words how good of a feeling it is when you're on the stage, to be honest.
Listen, I said I wanted to ask about your mother. I've got to ask about your mom. She is amazing. I mean,
thanks.
As I say, she has got to be your greatest asset at this point. I think she is. Well, you can't say thanks. I guess you can take credit for her. She should take credit for herself.
Because of me.
There is I was trying to think about it, and even in a contemporary sense, there's a tradition of comedians working their parents into their humor. In some cases, unwittingly. I don't know if you remember Tom Green, his early stuff. You know, his parents didn't want any part of that, but he would weave them in somehow. But then there's someone like David Letterman, who would end up doing a regular segment on his late night show, calling his mother. You know, she became part of the audience loved it. When did you first realize that your mom would be an asset in your comedy?
Honestly, I think it did start when I was first imitating her at the parties, but now I just translated it on video. So when I started my YouTube channel after I dropped out, I immediately started a YouTube channel. I'm like, how can I have to start doing something. So I was like, okay, what's the closest thing to me? What's the thing that's easiest for me to do to start off? I was like, oh, let me just imitate my mom. Like I do always. Let me just do it on video now.
Yes.
And that first video actually blew up. It was actually me imitating my mom. It wasn't her actually in it. But once I saw that, the reception of me making fun of a Persian mom and how many people loved it, I was like, oh, you know, be even funnier if my actual mom was in it. So the first video I did of her with her in it was me pranking her and telling her I do drugs and I sell drugs, right? But you will never see another Persian kid doing that to their parents. You'll never see it. You've never seen that.
Right.
But
you were doing this seriously.
I was seriously. Yeah. No, I dead ass
you
like
filmed it. So it was like a Tom Green thing. You were you were messing with her.
I ambushed her. She had no idea. But the thing is, that only happened because all those years of watching YouTube videos of other people doing it with their moms, and I got that idea from other people. I was like, oh, like this is now I can do this.
Right.
I've always wanted to do this, so why can't I? And I know my mom is like, she's kind of a little bit, she's very like high alert, kind of paranoid, like very worried all the time. But she's also very funny. I'm like, it would be funny. I just had a feeling. So I pranked her, and then like she was like super like, oh my God, devastated if you see the video. But at the end when I revealed to her, oh, I'm just kidding, it was like such a cool feeling seeing her like, oh, you fucking idiot, like it's stupid, like khafish or be sure, like or whatever. Seeing her react that way and the reception I got from that video, people were hooked from the very beginning. Like, oh my God, I love your mom. And I was like, oh, okay.
How do you go from that to convincing your mom to actually be part of things?
Yeah.
I mean, now she's an active participant.
Right.
If you visit, which I'm sure if there's anybody out there who isn't already following you, they must by after this interview go check out your Instagram channel, your YouTube channel, your website. And your mom is a feature character. I mean, she's one of the leads, you know, in the universe, in the Neema universe.
Yeah.
How did that happen? When did she agree to actually start being? Because Persian moms are
very tough.
I mean, I still can't, get an interview with my mom. I mean, she's too private.
100%.
She'll watch all my stuff, love it, whatever, but doesn't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Persians typically, what they're known for is worrying too much about what other people think of them.
Of course,
it's the judgment. Yes. They don't want. What's this person gonna think? What's this person gonna say? Always worried about other people's opinions. But I had to change that for myself generationally. I was like, I don't give a shit. Like, I didn't care what people thought from a very young age. I was like, I'm gonna wear whatever clothes I want, say whatever I want. Like, obviously not reckless, but like I just needed to be myself and not worry about the judgment of others. So with my mom, I saw how the first video went when I pranked her, and I was like, let me prank her again. I did it a couple more times, and I saw that it got more and more views, more traction, more friends were calling. Oh my God, people from Iran were calling my mom like, that was the funniest video I've ever seen. And she had no choice but to like be excited because they're laughing because she's also in it and she's funny. So she got a little sense of pride of like, oh, well, they're laughing because of me. So she kind of like, she likes it. She likes the attention as much as I do with, making people laugh. And so eventually got to a point where I was like, come on, let's just do one quick video where you say this, whatever, react how you want. And she's like, okay, fine, hurry up. Ever since that day, every single time I put her in, more and more people see it. More and more people love her. And she can't help but deny all the love she's getting. Yeah. And she says,
and like, no one dislikes her.
No.
Even if they're trolling you.
100%.
They probably, she is just so lovable.
She's like this goddess that everyone looks up to. And she reads the comments too. And she always says like, no, Neema, like, Neema Nazeri, like, Neema Nazeri video.
Eskrin.
Yeah, Eskrin. Yeah, like, don't put me on the camera. But then she reads the comments. She's like, oh, maybe see what these persons say. So I'm like, you like it. You like it deep down inside. Right, so it just kind of made her a little bit more comfortable, and then
let me give people a quick sense of this. If there's a recent very funny video of you're still pranking your mom. You're showing her something, a TikTok video that was banned, or that that TikTok removed. Your video was banned, and you were saying, "Mom, take a look at this. What I posted, and this is what." Let's play a bit of that.
Okay, recently some of my videos on TikTok have been getting muted for some reason, but there are some videos that don't get muted. So right now, I'm gonna get my mom to review one of those videos. All right, click on it.
Oh my God. این چی درست کردی بیشعور خاک بر سرم دوباره نیما این چیه بزنم بزنم
Watch it again.
Wow, oh my God. بیشعور باز دور از اینا درست کردی تو
No, it's not me.
پس کی تو
You think that's me?
نه
It's not my ass.
I know, but برای چی درست کردی
It's not mine.
So it's a video of a naked woman and
pretty much
her booty and you does your mother ever actually get angry? I mean, after that, did she go, come on, you can't post that? And by the way, that has thousands and thousands and thousands of views.
Yeah.
That people love that one. But what are the conversations that are had between you and her after something like that?
So she always says like, Neema, like name to me, you can't put that up. But she says it in like a way where it's like, okay, like I know you're gonna post it,
right?
But she just has to say because she's a Persian mom. That's what she's used to saying, being protective. But I'm like you know why I post these things, and people love it. Like relax, you know what I mean? Like she just has that sense of like pride of like, oh, I don't want people to see it, but she doesn't actually care. She does get like pissed off or like angry sometimes, like off camera if like we're actually trying to film something together, and I get heated because I'm like, why can't you just like do this properly? But then she's like, oh, I don't know, like I'm not an actor. But I'm like, I have to remember, oh, like it's true, like she's not an actor, like I'm the actor here, or the comedian. Right. She's not, she's just helping. So I can't even, it's hard for me to like to even like have the idea of getting mad. So we always had that dynamic of like bashing heads, but it works sometimes. Totally when it works, it works. When we're actually on the same page, it's really good quality stuff.
You have this thing you guys are doing recently, or a little more recently, with the Friday night dance videos. You and your mom.
Yeah.
There's, you know, and it's unequivocally adorable and fun and spontaneous. How does that come about? How do you actually orchestrate this? Do you say, Mom, here's a song? Do you practice the dance together? I mean, really, how does it, because it is, or is that just naturally what happens when you turn on the camera?
So with the Dance Fridays segment that we start to do, I've been doing it for a while now, for a few months, several months on my own. But the essence of Dance Fridays was me like dancing outside of my car while my brother's driving and filming. Like he's the behind the scenes guy doing the ad-libs. But then there were times on Fridays or that week, Thursdays or Fridays, where it was too cold outside, it was raining. I'm like, what can I do for Dance Fridays? So I just did something on my own the first time, which was contemporary dancers be like whatever, and I was just doing a weird dance. And then the next one, I put my mom in it to like react to me dancing that style. She's like, what the hell are you doing? Whatever. And I was like, oh, it'd be funny if I could just get my mom to dance with me on Dance Fridays. She's a big part of the, people love her, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
I did one video with her. It blew up. Like it went crazy. And once she saw that, she's like, okay, here's what I can do. Because she always like, oh, like I'll only film with you if I'm in the mood. Which is like, sometimes she's always occupied with her own job and everything. So she's not really in the mood. But she's like, okay, here's the deal. I can do it with you, but you have to tell me in advance what you want to do, and we have to set a schedule. So I'll be like, all right, cool. Thursdays at this time, let's meet up, block out 2 hours so we can finish this 15-second dance, and on the spot we'll choreograph something, but not too much. Obviously, we're not dancers, but like something like that's interesting, that's funny. We can do maybe a little bit of ghair, some Persian touch to it, and she actually has a chance to like. Her thing is like she doesn't like being put on camera if she's not like looking perfect.
Right, of course.
Tip top, right? Right. Like the back to the image thing. So she's like, okay, I'll only do it if you let me know in advance so I can dress up, put some rouge, some lipstick, you know what I mean? And so then she's super in the mood, and it's more fun that way. And so instead of doing it like every other day or whatever, we do once a week now. And
you still live with your parents?
Yeah, I live at home. Yeah.
What's going to happen when you move out? I mean, this is
end of the world.
What's going to happen to the act?
End of the world.
It's not since Burns and Gracie. I mean, you can't lose your partner.
You see that's the thing though. I made sure from the very beginning to not make her the main part of my whole thing.
Right.
I've made my brand of me.
It's true. Yes.
She's just like an extension of me. Yes. So that's why I don't post her very often, because I don't want people to be obsessed with like just seeing my mom.
Right.
I have all this other talent that everyone can watch. You have to wait for this to happen. I wanted to make it more special.
Besides, you still have to go up on Sundays for the qeymeh.
Oh, of course. For the ghormeh sabzi. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
let me ask you about some of the characters and some of the work you do that isn't Persian. You do another popular character called Luca Marino, an Italian guy. I guess like he's from like Woodbridge or something, a Canadian Italian guy. What was the inspiration for him?
Honestly, I don't know. I just kind of I met a couple people along the way in my life. I actually didn't grow up with Italians or Persians. I grew up with only Indians, Tamils, Asians, and white people. But Italians I met when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21. and I saw how they were talking, and I'm like, I just naturally kind of like it's their lingo, their mannerisms is very connected with the nightlife world too. Yes. With the club world, and like I was
a certain kind of stereotype that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
and also you kind of look. I mean, when you're doing your Italian guy, you look like an Italian guy.
Of course,
it's not like you got the look too.
That's the point, exactly. And but that's the reason. That's the beauty of why I do what I do as well, is because I'm very racially ambiguous. And so I can pass for many things and get away with it, as opposed to someone else who just like has one thing. I take pride in doing as many things as I can and being versatile, and I like doing it. I love it. And so I just met a couple people along the way. Same with the Persians. Like I see someone, I meet them, I hear how they talk, and I immediately imitate. I'm always thinking of the joke. How can I make something funny?
So if Luca were here right now, what would you say?
I'm like, bro, what the fuck is this room, bro? Like, you know, it's black walls, but bro, buddy, where's the fucking flag? You know what I mean? Bring a sprawl. What are these doing? Agua. You know what I mean? I need a fucking sprawl, Bello. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? Right? So
got the hands going, Luca.
Bro, you gotta fucking be more relaxed.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. So
you know, you have a lot of fun with, especially with the Italian character, with the current premier, Doug Ford, and Rob Ford was the former mayor of Toronto, who had a lot of fans in the sort of Scarborough Italian community and stuff.
Right.
And some of that intersects with a lot of Toronto-specific humor, the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. There's references that are amazing for those of us who live in this city and have grown up in this city.
Yeah.
And yet you've got an audience that's growing around the world. You've got a global audience. Do you ever wonder if people in other regions understand these references, or do you care?
To be honest, I just like doing things that, I always say this, I like to do things that I know about. I like to talk about things and make jokes about things that I know, that are comfortable for me to talk about. And so I don't actually think, I don't.
You're not going to do jokes about Israel or
no chance.
California, because you're not there.
Well, not even that. It's just that like I'm not going to put myself into a situation where I don't have longevity in that aspect, right? So I'll talk about things, I'll make jokes about things that I actually know about, that I'm familiar with, that I can do, that's easy for me to do and to learn, and so like I naturally gravitated towards the GTA videos at first, but also it is very heavy Canadian, Toronto centric, but also there are people around the world who watch these things who also get it because of the accent, because of the mannerisms or the lifestyle.
Right.
So it's like there's not only Persians in Toronto. They're in UK, they're in Germany, they're in Norway, Norvege, Iran,
Norvege,
Glendale, California.
But in the scripting of it, in the thinking about it, do you ever go, well, if I do Luca, wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs shirt and referencing Woodbridge, some kid watching this in Shiraz who's liked all my videos is not going to understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's totally fine, because I know I have that versatility where they'll relate to something else that I do. Because I'm not just doing Luca Marino. I'm not just doing Woodbridge videos. I'm doing Persian videos, Russian, Toronto, Brampton, like Indian, Asian, Nigerian, Jamaican.
Right.
Like, I'm all over the map, and I that's the point. I like to challenge myself and do more as well, which I'm currently working on now. So I'm not in this business to cater to anyone. I'm still gonna stay true to myself and do what I want to do. And naturally, you will get people who really want to fuck with you and support you to also like that stuff. I don't care to please anyone. I just want to do things that I think are funny. And if you like it, that's great. And if you don't, then I'm sorry. Like, there's so many other comedians to watch who do different things.
It's funny when you say I'm working on things that I read somewhere. I don't know if it was in some article or bio or something where they said he's currently working on an Irish accent, and I thought it was such a funny thing to read. It's like, do you sit in your basement and you just practice being? Is that what you do?
100%. Yeah. There's some accents, impressions where like I just naturally it's easy for me to do.
Yes.
Just by listening to people.
Yes.
In
Bob
real
Back,
life.
It comes out of the DNA. It comes out of the pores in your
100%.
body.
Yeah. Same with like Luca Marino. Like maybe I see something on YouTube, or like I'll mimic someone I met in real life. But there are certain ones that I've never met in real life, but I watch on TV, movies, and I naturally gravitate towards them. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could do this accent. Mm-hmm. And some of them are very hard. I can't do certain accents at all.
What's hard?
I don't know. There's like, Irish, Scottish, you're not South African. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, there's very hard for me because, there's just certain like intonations and the way they say certain words that I just don't fully understand yet, or I just haven't grasped yet. But with everything else in my life that I've done, I know I can do it if I just practice it more. And if I literally sit in my basement watching YouTube tutorials for 7 hours and start doing it on my own, I can do it.
How do you practice it? You watch are there YouTube tutorials on how to develop an Irish accent?
Well, yeah, there's videos. I'll just watch actual shows that have Irish speaking accents, or like Nigerians, people doing videos, Jamaicans, like everything. And I'll just sit there and I'll literally I'm practicing what they're saying in real time just to get it in my own head. And sometimes I'll record myself so I can listen back to it and see the difference.
It's part of what makes you feel, what makes one feel a kinship in terms of being a Torontonian watching this, because like you do the Jamaican guy calling Doug Ford or Rob Ford, and because Toronto, for anybody who's listening out there who doesn't know this, I mention it often, but it is the most multiracial major city in the world. It is literally the most multiracial city in the world. So it's perfect fodder for different accents.
100%.
Still, I have to, address the appropriation question, because we live in a really sensitive time around race, around cultural appropriation. And I'm curious how you walk that line. In other words, do you ever worry, or do you ever have somebody saying, you're not allowed to do that Chinese accent? We'll give you a pass with the Persian guy, but that is offensive when you are doing a Chinese guy. How do you respond to that?
Like I mentioned before, there are always going to be people jabbing at you or hating on you or saying something negative about a certain video you're doing just because they don't like it and they think they know what's right for me. But I can't, like I said, I can't cater to anybody, because if I start listening to everyone who says, oh, you can't do this accent, you can't do this accent, you can't do this video, don't make fun of Persian, don't make fun of this. If I listen to every single one, what am I left to do? Just be silent? So I have to stay true to myself and do what I think is funny, what I think is right, what I enjoy doing in life. And like I said, I'm doing it with the right intentions. I know my intentions.
But you have parameters, clearly. I mean, you're not. You're not going to do the N-word.
Well, no,
right?
That's the thing. It's like,
so for some people, this might be the N-word. You doing a Chinese. I mean, you probably get the comments. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody has said, "This is appropriation. How dare you?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do this."
100%.
Forget about trying to appease them. I want to know what you, in your own conscience, in your own decision making, you've clearly, you're clearly not somebody who wants to actively be offensive or or hates certain races or something. So how you've come to go, this is okay. This is, hey guys, this is okay. How is that?
So there's a couple things. One is I grew up around the most diverse group of friends. I grew up with Indians, Tamils, Chinese, Japanese, Arab, English, black, white, right? So I grew up around all these people. I grew up listening to their parents, going over to the houses, talking to them, learning about their culture. I'm very, very cultured, I'd say, and that's the beauty of growing up in Toronto.
Yep.
And that's why I feel like I'm at an advantage where I can do these things, because I know these people and I grew up with these people. And the thing is, comedy is subjective. What's offensive to somebody might be completely inoffensive to another person.
There may be nothing you can do that isn't going to be offensive to somebody.
But that's the thing. It's like, that's why I go back to, I can't cater to anyone, because what am I going to be left with if I keep listening to people who say this is offensive? It's offensive to you, but to this person,
where's the
they
line
love
for
it.
you? What's the how do you?
Whatever I think is comfortable. Whatever I think is good enough for my. I don't. There's no specific line for me. It's just that. Is this funny to me? The way I know there's a boundary is if I'm debating if I should say it or not. Like if I'm more leaning towards, oh, I don't know, then yeah, that's probably best that I don't do it, because it's not true to me. I have to stay true to myself.
There's something you said a few moments ago, or a few minutes ago, maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, where you were talking about, I think it was when you were talking about the comedy club experience and learning how to not, you're talking about Persians caring about what others think.
Yeah.
And how you've let go of that. And I was listening to you say that, and I was envying you, because I actually believe you. I believe that you have been able to unburden yourself of those chains that so many of us feel growing up, whether it's because we're first generation immigrants or whatever it is. Oh my God, what are they going to think? Oh my God, what's this comment I got on YouTube? Oh my God, this person hates me. Oh my God, this is my reputation, whatever. And I see it in the work you do, because one of the reasons you're funny, if you don't mind me, commenting on why I think you're funny, but is that it feels authentic. Like there's a freedom to it. You're not, you don't look self-conscious when you're doing these things. You look comfortable in a way that, and nor are you having a wink like, look at this racist thing I'm saying. You are just truly, if you were to try and teach someone how to unburden themselves from that caring, that Persian instinct or whatever it is to care what others think, how did you do it?
Part of it has to be some innate ability to just be free and to just kind of do what you want and just have the confidence to just go for what you actually want and have a passion for. If you have a passion for something, it's very easy to do that, because you're like, I can actually work towards something. But for me, I'm lucky. I really truly found what I'm truly passionate about, and there's one thing that I'm really good at, and I'm shit at everything else. So I'm like, I don't have any other choice. And I love it. I love it more than anything. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. There are other things where I also love, but not as much as comedy. And so the burden of like worrying about what people think, or taken the risk of dropping out or doing something that might not be considered, proper or, respectable in a Persian or immigrant family, you have to go for it. I thought when I was doing this, I was like, there's nothing else I'm good at. And also I don't care about anything. I finally found something I care about and I'm interested in. Why wouldn't I do it? Like, I'm tired of feeling pressure to do something because someone else thinks they know better for me. I know me the most. Even if I'm delusional, I still know me the most, right? But at the time, I just kind of felt it. It was innate. It was just a big intuition. I had a big gut feeling, and I went for it. And I've never been happier. And I think I'm a true testament to that, where I actually went for something I wanted, and I've never felt better. And I think that's a very powerful thing to understand, is to really know deeply what you want.
Neema, I was thinking about the success you've had. And I mean, you've been doing this now for a few years, but really in the last 18 months, it's skyrocketed. I mean, it's a new level, right?
Yeah. If anything.
And that has, from the dungeon to the real attic, and that has intersected. I mean, the success has been in social media. The success has been on platforms where you can make videos. The success has been people watching on their devices what you do. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, etc. That's intersected with the pandemic. And so in a way, and you wouldn't be the first person, it's actually, the pandemic hasn't been super bad for business for you. Yes, you can't do tour dates as a comedian or whatever, but in terms of the sweet spot you've hit, it's actually been a boon. It's been a great time. Let me turn it around. Are you freaked out that once people get back to normal, going out on a Friday night, that they're not going to be watching Neema videos?
No, not at all, because I was still doing well before the pandemic in a very smaller scale. Now it's just a larger scale. But that's the thing. It's not only me doing videos. Now I can do live shows. Right. Now I can get out there and actually do more things. So more pranks, more street interviews, more stand-up gigs. There's more opportunities that way. But I treat this as a bonus, to be honest. It's not my main thing. I don't treat one thing as my main thing. I treat everything as the main thing. I think doing videos, acting, doing stand-up, YouTube videos, street interviews, pranks, it's all linked together. It all helps each other out. And I treat it as one thing, right? As opposed to like, this is a side thing, this is that. When I think of it that way, it makes it so much easier, and so much pressure is lifted off my shoulders that I have to go all in on stand-up comedy. Right. I have to all in on writing. Right. I'm doing it all, and I want to do it all.
It's all part of the brand.
It's all part of the brand, and there's so much time. I'm not in a rush. This is a long game, okay? And I was a running joke with my brother, but it naturally comes to my mind right now. I look up to someone by the name of Gary Vee. I don't know if you know him, but he's a businessman. He owns a wine business. He's all over social media. He's a very motivational speaker, and he pretty much talks about just going out there and doing stuff.
Right.
And I learned a lot from him. And he pretty much talks about like just have patience. Like it's micro speed, macro patience, right?
It's a
lot
marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. Do a lot every day.
Yeah.
But think way ahead. So that's how I see it. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not in a rush. I know what I'm doing every day.
And I presume with that philosophy, you don't live and die by each video you put out.
No.
If you put something out that gets a few thousand less clicks than the last one, you're okay with that.
Now I am. At the beginning, it was tough. And I'm not going to lie. Obviously, there's times where I'm insecure or I'm not fully confident as it may seem. Like there's times where I'm doubting myself. Days where I'm like, I don't know if this is good. I don't know if I'm even good enough. Or I don't know what's going to happen. My future is uncertain. But I always come back to the fact that, well, it's not that serious. Everyone's dealing with something in their life. Like, I'm not special. No one else is special. We're all human. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone fails. The whole point is to just be resilient and keep going forward. I truly believe in consistency more than anything. Doesn't matter if you're shit or bad or good. If you're consistent, you will get better. I truly believe in that. And it's worked for me. And I've seen it. The proof is all there. And that's what helps me keep going, honestly. And the video you're talking about, like, you know, if I post a video and it bombs, it gets a few thousand less views. I don't give a shit.
Nothing you put out bombs.
Sometimes it does.
But some is less. Some are less
than other.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I post something and it does bad. I'm like, literally an hour later, I'm like, okay, here's the next video. I don't give a shit. Because also no one cares. I have to remind myself, no one gives a shit. Like, they care, but they don't. You know what I mean?
Right. No one is out there living and dying by Neema's career.
No one's living by me doing fucking BJ videos. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the same way, like, no one gives a fuck because they have so much to worry about in their own lives.
Yes.
This is just a small micro moment.
We obsess of our own little worlds. And
no one's gonna remember this video. It's 2 minutes from now. They scroll once, they've already seen 7 more posts. So it doesn't matter. So that's been really easy for me. It's been really
some of your videos, I mean, there's been a few where 10 different people sent them to me, like over a course of a few days. So,
that's great.
So they don't disappear right away in your case.
But that's the positive side of it. There's that side, and then there's a side where it's like people, that's all they're talking about. Right. But that's the whole reason of doing more. You're going to get those ones. It's trial and error. It's a numbers game.
You said on a podcast or something I heard you on, you dropped something, but it really wasn't followed up on. You said that the quarantine has actually been a good time for you to address your own mental health.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it's kind of a beautiful thing to say. I mean, you're a guy in your mid-20s. I mean, just to even have the awareness to talk about mental health. What were you referencing?
There were so many things I neglected in my own life that I didn't even think about until the pandemic happened. And I'm lucky enough to have people in my life who actually care and have a tight circle now, like especially, you know, my older brother. He's a big part of the reason why I'm even doing what I'm doing in the first place, literally.
Omid.
Yeah. But he's also a big influence in terms of the mental health part, because I didn't even think about that until he even mentioned it to me. When the pandemic hit, I was at a time in my life where I was very overweight, even more than now. But I wasn't feeling good. I was eating shit. I was sleeping late, waking up late, not taking care of my mental health, my physical health, emotionally. I didn't know how to speak to people properly, as anger issues, like so many things that like I wasn't working on actively. I was just kind of like going by and whatever, like just doing. I was 100% career mode, worrying about my comedy, and 0% Neema Nazeri, the human. And so when the pandemic hit, it was a perfect time. It was actually no better moment for me to actually hone in on me for once in my life. And so I did take a month. I took a whole month off.
I was going to say, what was the first step? That's amazing.
So I realized I remember I was doing stand up in Ottawa, and I was on a mini tour in Montreal, Ottawa. I was in El Paso in the States earlier before that. and I was like feeling like garbage. And I have a thyroid problem where it's hypothyroidism. So it's like my immune system kind of like attacking against me, where it's easy for me to gain weight, feel sluggish in the mornings. It's just like Hashimoto is the name of the disease. And so I was just at a very bad point in my life where I was neglecting everything and not caring about my health. And I told my brother, I was like, yo, man, when I come home from this tour, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, I need help. I asked for help for once, because I was like, I don't want to live this way anymore. It's tough.
What was the precipitant for that? What was the low point that made you? That's an amazing call to make to your brother.
Yeah,
to recognize that. What was it?
Also, I don't have money. Like I'm not well off in my life yet. Like like how am I gonna do well in comedy if I can't even wake up properly every morning? If I can't eat properly, if I'm fucking out of breath.
So the day you called your brother, what was happening?
I had enough. I had this like natural feeling of like, you know what? I've been thinking about this for a few weeks, and I didn't know how to come about it. But I was like, at a point, I was sleeping on my friend's couch in Ottawa, so uncomfortable, doing basic gigs at a comedy club for $50. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I'm not. I stopped worrying. I stopped caring about like the actual videos I was putting out. I was still doing them, but I was completely losing focus of the true reason and purpose why I was doing comedy in the first place. And I was getting distracted by outside sources like girls. I was getting too involved with girls, or, you know, like too much nonsense on social media, scrolling, like watching other things, stopping pretty much what I'm doing and doing the bare minimum. And I realized this is all linked together. And I was like, you know what? I can't. Like, if I want to be successful, I have to get help, and I have to work on myself more. And that was the moment. I told him, I went home, and immediately I changed the way I eat. Lifestyle has completely changed. My diet, physical activity. Like,
you said you took a month?
Took a month off.
What does that mean?
I completely stopped doing anything work-related, like comedy, everything.
Wow.
Everything. Social media. I didn't even check my phone for a month.
Wow.
Yeah, because I desperately needed a change. It was exhilarating. It was great. I was actually a very monumental key time in my life. Like, I needed that. I realized how much help I really needed. And
was it almost scary to go back into turning the phone on after feeling like you had gotten healthy without it?
Yeah, no. It was actually relieving, understanding why I'm even doing this in the first place. It kind of made me realize more about the true reason of why I started, and it gave me a fresher perspective going into it again. Like, I actually realized that I don't really care too much about the social media part of things. I just deeply love making people laugh. That's all I want to do, is make people laugh, create content, videos, whatever it is, in whatever form. And so I realized, okay, well, there's no structure in my life. That's what I realized. The biggest thing I realized was I have no structure in my life. I'm just going by every day, making videos on the spot, getting mad if it's not working. You know what I mean? Like, and so that was when I started to change. I started to eat better. I started to fast. I started fasting, intermittent fasting. It's been the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. I've never felt better. I started working on the negative habits that I've had, you know, trying to sleep.
That's why you got the big bottle of water.
Yeah, exactly.
That's part of the intermittent fasting.
Of course. I mean, this is a part of it. Yeah, for sure. I cut out like things that were junk for me, like processed foods, like sugar.
You've got the skin of a baby.
That's it. I'm like a tortoise. You know what I mean? Like, smooth. Rub my face, baby. You know what I'm saying? But for real, I was so fed up with how I felt inside. I'm like, I don't want to do comedy. I want to fucking lie down and eat pizza. Why the fuck am I even thinking? And so I start to work on the habits that I need to fix. You know what I mean? Having a morning routine, a night routine, writing down my thoughts. Simple as that. Meditation, which I barely even do now, but now I just do more mindfulness, which is, you know, journaling or writing my thoughts down, having a planner. We use a planner. I use a planner now every day to write out my schedule.
You didn't do that before?
Never in my life I did that. Now I'm more organized than ever. I was never an organized person.
Sounds like you're
lazy.
You're really lucky to have your brother.
I am. Honestly. I'm very grateful. Yeah, for sure.
And you know why he was able to help you?
Why?
Because he's got a background in kinesiology. those before he quit. He learned, you know,
that's how to. That was the only reason. No, but we're both on the same path. We're both on the same path of like that. That's the thing too, is having someone else there with you to do it with you makes it so much easier. And
I should mention that you and your brother do a podcast together too.
Yeah,
Straight and Curly.
Straight and Curly podcast, yeah.
And
a show about nothing, yeah.
It shows about nothing, but it's enjoyable to listen to.
Thank you, yeah.
You two talk to each other.
Yeah.
Let me turn it around and talk about the positives of what's happened as you've come out of that. Are you tingling in terms of how much success how things have skyrocketed? These viral. I mean, after a while, the numbers are just the numbers, but they've gone from the 10s to the 20s to the hundreds. So they're in hundreds of thousands. They're in millions. How does that feel to you? I mean, I know you're not driving a Mercedes or something yet.
I don't even have a car.
You don't even have a car. Yeah. But you can see how this has grown. Was that a surprise?
No, I knew it all makes sense how it's going right now. It's all because of consistency from the 6 years ago till now. I haven't stopped. Weekly videos to daily to 2 times a day.
Except for the month.
Except for the 1 month. Yeah. And a bunch of other times in between. But the point is, I've built this foundation over the 6 years. People look at video today. They'll see a video like, oh, this guy's not funny. This guy's just lucky. He just got clout for one video. He just started last week. People have no idea. But I know. Right. I started 6 years ago, and I've been busting my ass this whole time just to get a few thousand views. But I'm not worried about the numbers right now because I know, once again, longevity. It's a long game. I know. I'd rather take the long term.
You know what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right? This is what you want to do. You're doing what... That's...
There's no better feeling, man.
There's people who are decades into their life who still haven't figured out what they want to do. Yeah.
I never feel that way, and I never want to feel that way.
So what's the dream? What's the teenage girl, teenage boy, Neema dream? Where do you want to take this?
Jennifer Lopez to be my wife, but freaking Ben Affleck. But no, I want to do it all, man. I want to be like I want to get to Kevin Hart level. I want to be big. I want to be
arenas.
I want to tour the world doing stand-up comedy. Just do things I love with the people I love every day. I don't even care to be rich. I just want to be and have enough money to invest back into me, into my brand, to just do more of it. That's all. I don't care. I don't care if I have 10 million or 100,000. I just want to do things I love every day and and have the freedom to do it every day with the right resources, with the right people around me. And I want to be a big movie star one day. I want to be in big TV shows. I want to act and everything. I want to write scripts. I want to still do content online. I just want to do shit I like. I never want to be restricted. I can't say fuck. I can't say other words that might be deemed wrong or offensive. I don't give a shit about that.
I was gonna ask you about that when you were talking about the freedom to do what you want to do. About if some big festival came to you now and said, "We'd love to have you on. We're gonna put you on the main stage, but you can't do any of the accents. You can't do some of this or that." Would you still take the gig?
Well, it depends because it's not just because in my stand-up, it's not just me doing accents. No, I have other material.
I'm saying if they put parameters on you,
right.
Would you say how much of a deal breaker would that be? How libertarian are you about needing to do your own thing?
It depends because if I have other things I can do, I'm actually okay with that. It depends. There's times where I'm like, no, like I'd rather just not do it, but I have to. It's a case by case thing because. They could say you can't do accents, but I have other shit I could do. It's fine, but I probably would lean more towards like, nah, I'd rather not do it. Because what if I want to do it? What if there is a certain joke that requires an accent? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just.
I love your ambition. I think, and I love your understanding of how committed and consistent you need to be, and the greatest thing of all is you love what you do, and that's, man, that's a beautiful thing, and I would guess that those around you, your family, your brother, your mother, all of them see that and get the energy from that too. Do you think you'll stay in Canada?
Yeah, I think I'll definitely travel the world a lot, definitely. But
we're not going to lose you to LA.
The thing is,
you could have one of those Beverly Hills Persian homes with the Coliseum type, 100%. Ornate, ostentatious kind of exterior.
Just have nuts everywhere. Cashews, peanuts, pissed. You know, Tokman, whatever Tokman. But yeah, I just want to taste everywhere. I just want to travel the world and see new things, new places, new people. But this is my home. I love Canada, and yeah, like I don't mind. I don't mind having this as my home base. I actually would prefer if I can go travel the world and then have somewhere to come back to, which is Canada. As long as I'm not restricted, or like Justin Trudeau says I can't say stupid anymore, then I'm gone.
We're going to play this back to you in 5 years when you're sitting in your mansion in Vegas. And
I love Vegas.
You said you would stay in Canada, bro.
We'll see.
It's been such a pleasure. Really.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for your candor. And congratulations on all that you've been doing. And I can't wait to see what's next and to keep in touch.
Yeah, it means a lot, man. Thank you for having me. And this was a great conversation, so I appreciate it.
Cheers, brother. Thank you.
Take care.
Neema Nazeri, an Iranian-Canadian comedian and actor who is an ongoing viral success in social media these days. His very popular Instagram channel is called Neema Naz, Neemanaz, Neema Naz, and his website is also neemanaz.com. Neema Nazeri joined us live in the Roqe studio today. Back in the seat. Fabulous Keon. The microphone's back on for Captain Reza and Groovy Shaya. It was great having Neema here. How about that, Neema? I saw you on the other side of the glass with a smile on your face.
I was really enjoying that. You know this. I was already a fan of Neema like for years now. I've been following him, and I have to thank this man. His videos got me through the pandemic. This man kills me every day. Like, you know, it's one thing to produce like, you know, one funny video a month or something. This guy does it every week, like almost daily, I'd say. But the part that surprised me was the last 20 minutes of his talk on mental health. That, you know, I so appreciate that he brought that up. That's something that we need to discuss more so. And you just don't think of comedians in that light. You kind of just look at him, oh, he's so funny, he's great. But like the fact that he was open to talk about that and address it, it speaks volumes about his character. Yeah,
I really appreciated how, as I said at the end there, thank you for your candor. I mean, I really didn't know if he would open up about that the way he did, and it's very helpful. It's great that he was as candid as he was, and it's also great that we had a guest on the show that you like, Keon, as opposed to what you normally have to say about the guests who come on.
No, but really, this kid's going to be a star. Watch out for him. I believe that.
For sure.
Captain Reza?
For sure he's going to be a star. And because for two reasons. One, he knows exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah.
Like his idol is Kevin Hart, and he knows exactly what he wants to do. And he loves it. He's not doing it because there is money in it, because there is prestige, because it's a good image for his family. No. He's doing it because he loves every single minute of it. And 100% he's going to be a star. I'm so proud of him.
Super focused, knows what he loves, and he's got the advantage of having his brother too, who's awesome. I mean, you know, his brother in terms of helping guide the ship and being there as a support. Totally. I mean, that's just what a dynamic duo they are. Groovy Shaya?
What I want to mention is not about Neema, actually. It's about the difference between in-person interviews and online interviews.
Yeah.
You are a great interviewer, no doubt, but the dynamic is, you know, it's very different when you interview somebody and you can look into it.
It's so much better for me. There's no doubt about that. It's you can read the person, feel the energy. They see me telegraphing, I'm about to speak, I'm going to cut you off here, I'm going to so there's a flow. Although talking to him was I suspect anybody could do a good interview with him. He's a lovely guy and very forthcoming and very funny. I should mention that you can become a patron of Roqe by going to our website, roqemedia.com, roqemedia.com, and support us there. We're figuring out, we're going to make something exclusive to people who are patrons.
A lap
Maybe
dance.
it'll be, that's right. Lap dance is
With Reza?
executed by Savi Roham. So we're like losing patrons.
People will pay not to do that.
No, we will make it worth your while. But in the meantime, I mean, we send a thank you note and stuff. But we're really going to basically move something behind the paywall, as they would say, you know, so you get extra content, etc. If you become a patron, we're figuring that out. Like it took us the first 6 months to figure out our website. But in the meantime, roqemedia.com is the site, and you can become a patron for $5 a month, $10 a month to help crowdsource this project. That would be great. We see the list. We love you. Those of you who become patrons, really appreciate it. And you can subscribe on any of our platforms for free. So by all means, do that as well. It is Thursday. You all know what that means. She's a dear friend, a diaspora blend, a gym workout cat, and a bicultural brat, but lovable, smart, and funny, and on a journey to discover what we actually discovered. Here we go, Bachaha. It's all Persian to us with Jian Ghomeshi.
Pfizer!
And he's back.
All right. Well, you gave us a tip-off earlier saying you thought this is the biggest, the most important contribution that
Yes.
Persians have given to the world. So I'm riveted. I'm standing at attention. What is it? Let's
can
go.
without a doubt say that this is, in fact, the greatest Persian contribution to human civilization of all time. Listen, guys, this is the big kahuna.
Ooh.
This is actually one of the main reasons why why I'm proud to be Persian.
Wow.
But first, allow me to remind everyone about something. Humans have roamed the earth for 200,000 years, and civilization as we know it is about, 6,000 years old. And yet we still haven't figured out how to all live harmoniously in this world. Being different culturally is sadly still a major cause for violence and terror. From the Middle East all the way up to the so-called civilized nations in North America. Just this past week alone, it was revealed that the remains of 215 indigenous children were found buried at a residential school in Canada, a country that likes to pride itself on a reputation of cultural acceptance. But Canadians know we have our own dark past here as well. So let's not be hypocrites here. We're still a long, long way from reaching equality, if ever, in this world. Well, maybe we need to take a step back and look into the past. Perhaps we can learn from it. History does, in fact, repeat itself. The year was 539 BC, when the armies of Cyrus the Great, the first king of ancient Persia, marched into the streets of Babylon, where the people were suffering at the hands of a cruel and unjust king. Cyrus, known as the King of Kings, overthrew the vicious Babylonian king Nabonidus, the son of an even crueler king before him, Nebuchadnezzar, who had tormented his subjects for decades. So the King of Kings proceeded to free the thousands, if not millions, of slaves in Babylon, most of which were Jews. He gave them passage back to resettle and rebuild Jerusalem. And by the way, this was all predicted in the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, a few hundred years before. It predicted a foreign Messiah would free the Jews from captivity and help them return to Jerusalem. Chills. The Bible actually mentions Cyrus's name 23 times, which is kind of interesting to me. Anyway, so if abolishing slavery and liberating the Jews wasn't enough, Cyrus then released a decree. It declared that all men and women were free to choose their own religion, speak their own language, and maintain their own culture under Persia. So to recap, he established racial equality in 539 BC. This was all recorded officially in the form of a clay cylinder that came to be known as the world's first ever Charter of Human Rights.
Right.
Yes. And from Persia, the idea of human rights quickly spread to India, Greece, and eventually even Rome. Today, it's known as the Cyrus Cylinder, which also served as the blueprint for Britain's Magna Carta in 1215 and the U.S. Constitution in 1787. Wow. Yeah. This 2,600-year-old artifact still to this day serves an important lesson many millenniums later. It's a reminder that during times of great injustice and intolerance in the world, all it takes is for one person to step in and make things right by spreading love instead of hate and acceptance instead of disapproval. Let it be known that the concept of freedom spread from the east to the west, from Persia all the way to the US. The irony is, of course, that it seems to have gone the other direction at present. Persia, modern-day Iran, a once thriving nation that introduced human rights and freedoms to the rest of the world, has since lost its way for its own people. But like I've said before, history does in fact repeat itself. So I have no doubt that the ancient land of Iran will soon see another Messiah who will bring freedom back to its own people once again. It's all Persian to us.
Very nice. Human rights.
Yeah. Have you seen the Cyrus cylinder? It's in the
it's
British
in
Museum.
London. Yeah, I have seen it,
How did
actually.
you feel when you saw that?
I was a bit hungry that day.
That's a disappointment.
Sorry. Right. I was, I think I had a cold. No, I felt, honestly, you're right. It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
You see it, it's preserved, it's sitting in a kind of a case and a glass case. And no, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's really
how large is it?
Not that
It's
large.
not that big.
No.
It's, I mean, like, what do you compare
Size
it
of
to?
like a forearm?
Like a log.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
a
a
log.
log, that's
Like
right.
a log you put on a fire. Yeah.
This
But it's an amazing story that, I mean, it's one of those things where we tend to, in an obnoxious way, think that we invented these things, in the 21st century, the 20th century, human rights or whatever. And
No.
these are not concepts that are new. They go back and in this case, they go back in our own lineage, thousands of years.
Well, this was a time that slavery was prevalent all over the world. And so this man, Cyrus the Great, stepped in and changed the game in a sense. And it's like, it's just the sad part to me is that still to this day, we haven't, this isn't a universal concept. It's still not accepted widely. And that to me is appalling.
I mean, some people even supported Trump in the last election. Oh, sorry, Kian.
And that's a show, everybody.
No, I mean, I wonder, I think you said at one point, in times of great injustice and intolerance, all it takes is one person to step in. I mean, that certainly, Cyrus, there's these legendary characters, but I sometimes wonder about the one person thing, whether one person can it's a collective that makes the difference.
Right, it is a collective, but you need a leader. Let's face it. Even, let's say, for example, if a revolution happens in Iran, well, we need someone to replace this government. Who's that going to be? Who's going to be the leader? Leading.
Shia.
He can teach us proper Persian.
That's right.
Ponsdah.
He can say the word for encyclopedia. Thank you, Kian. A great one. And you're right. That is what's bigger than that, really?
Nothing.
I mean,
alcohol. I mean,
actually, that's true.
He has a good point.
Alcohol may have had a greater impact.
I stand corrected
on the world than human rights. And alcohol and the yakhchal, the fridge put together. I mean, as a combo pack,
that's more
it's a lot more than human rights. Yeah, I mean, so you have no human rights, but you've got your beer in a cool freezer. Thank you for that, the fabulous Kian. Thank you, Groovy Shia. And thank you, Captain Reza. That is full time for Roqe for today. For all things Roqe, including previous editions of It's All Persian to Us, you can go to our website, roqemedia.com. See a new group photo there, too. roqemedia.com. Speaking of the group, thanks to the amazing team who put this show together. Producer Susan Ponta, the artist, Thoughtful Nagin, the fabulous Kian, Savvy Roham, Aghay Mehrdad, Captain Reza and Groovy Shia. Thank you to all of you out there supporting us and sharing our content. Please subscribe if you have not done so already on any platform that you're listening to us on right now. You can find us on Instagram at Roqe Media and me at Jian Ghomeshi. Mizun Bashi.